All right, kids, let's get it. We've got a halftime complete in Happy Valley. Michigan leads Penn State 14-9. Huge, enormous drive by Penn State at the end of the first half. Otherwise, Michigan goes in with a 11-point lead. And just even more so than the points, the confidence needed by that Penn State offense finally drives down the field, finally gets a touchdown against Michigan in the first half. In what was a pretty well played first half, not a lot of penalties, which was good. We saw a little bit of everything, not explosive plays in the passing game, explosive plays in the running game on both sides, especially on the Michigan side. We'll see what you guys have to say, but Michigan leads 14-9. I'll run down what I've got after I see, more importantly, what you guys have. Rob J with the Go Blue. Rob J says, lucky score. Okay. Whatever that means. Lucky score. Didn't see a whole lot of luck in Penn State moving the ball down the field, scoring there. But we've got Allen here. Michigan can cheat all they want. Georgia smokes them anyways. Woo! Okay, Allen, we will see how that plays out the rest of the year. Somebody jumping on Conundrum early to say 7-3 at that point, bet the under. Well, it's kind of too late at that point. Josh with the Go Blue to real MVP, calling the quarterback throwback on 4th and 1 was something. Let's start right there. This final Penn State drive, let's start right there because, man, they were up against it. Michigan with a couple big plays out of Donovan Edwards, by the way. Welcome to the 2023 college football season, Donovan Edwards. We haven't seen that Donovan Edwards since the end of last season against Ohio State, Purdue, TCU. But Donovan Edwards shows up with two enormous plays, the really plays in which the Michigan offensive line did most of the work, but he at least found the hole and was explosive and got through it, broke a couple tackles, broke one tackle in particular on the first touchdown or the first long run he had that led to the Blake Corum touchdown run. But to real MVP's point right there, yeah, Penn State driving down the field. So the first bold call, as I'm sure DeReal is happy that Kentucky just got into the end zone apparently, or did they get a sack? Whatever happened there, it was big for Kentucky. All right, back to the Michigan game against Penn State. This last drive for Penn State on a 4th and 1. On a 4th and 1, I don't know what that's telling us. I really don't know. You can come to your own interpretation in terms of what does that tell us. Is Penn State desperate? Do they not trust their offensive line? Do they not trust Drew Aller to deliver a ball? Do they not trust offensive line / running backs to convert a yard on 4th and 1? But they went extremely unconventional, and you are putting that play in the hands of your wide receiver to make a pass, which looks like on television like an easy pass. You throw it back to the quarterback. He's throwing the ball from hash to hash at least. That's probably a 25-yard throw. It's something in that range, a 20 or 25-yard throw out of your wide receiver, and didn't take into account who that was, but threw it back to Drew Aller. It worked. And if Penn State comes back and wins this game, that play is going to prove decisive. And the play before it, Penn State's moving the ball relatively well, but they get thrown into a 4th and 6 based on a big play by Rayshon Benny in slamming the running back into the backfield on a 3rd down, sets up a 4th and 6. Penn State goes for it. And what might get lost here is the fine play made by Caden Saunders in the passing game for Penn State as Drew Aller, yes, he completed the ball, and it was basically just relying on, there was nothing fancy on that 4th and 6. It was basically relying on the wide receiver, Caden Saunders, to beat the DB. And as Joel Klatt pointed out, he pressed him, meaning he got in on him, pressed his body so he could, which seems like counterintuitive, but it's been determined here in recent years in football. That's a good move by a wide receiver to make, is to press into the body. It's almost like a basketball move. You're pressing in and then you release and you create separation because you get them on their heels. That's what he did. Ran the out route and hauled in a better reception than pass. Not the best of passes by Drew Aller, but it converted the 4th and 6, and Penn State was able to get down and score the touchdown. Drew Aller has proven more elusive and than I've seen him in watching him play for most of this season and for spot duty last year. He's proven to be more elusive and a better runner, and they've needed him to be a good runner out of the backfield. All right. I'm making it sound like Penn State's leading this game. Obviously, Michigan has been the better team in the first half. Why did Penn State go for the 2-point conversion? No. And I'm not just saying that because they didn't get it. I'm saying that because you don't chase points this early in the ball game. There's not 3 minutes left in the game. You're not chasing a point to get to within 14-11 so you can kick a game-tying field goal to go to overtime. No. And it's not like they had some great play call on that 2-point conversion. No, it was basically a rollout by Drew Aller. He had one receiver. He was blanketed. Bad decision by James Franklin. You don't go for 2 there. You don't chase points. All right, let's get to the calls here in the chat. We appreciate Ferris being here. It's good to see Ferris. Exactly, Mark. Michigan going to score again. That's a fact. Well, it's not a fact, but most likely you're going to be right. They are going to score again. My guess is that both Michigan and Penn State are going to score. All right, we've got an enthusiastic Penn State fan here, Stu. We also have the Rod Farva. Good to see him as always. I'm stunned Devin Leary hasn't worked out. Yeah, going back to this Kentucky-Alabama game, I believe Kentucky's down by 21 and just threw a pick. And I made the mistake of thinking Kentucky was going to keep this close, and I took the points on my prediction. But regardless, we've got James Scott chiming in 7 minutes with new clock rules. You've got to chance the points sooner, but not that close in the first half. I think you're pointing to the 2-point conversion or the 4th down decisions. Donovan Edwards, player of the game so far in regards to, especially considering what little he's contributed in the run game thus far. Jim Gruson, don't know who that is. Yes, Ferris, thank goodness Stallions left his notes for the remaining games. Huge help for us. A lot of good comments here coming in. We got Ed Rogers. What is Gunner doing in the Michigan press box? Good play call by Michigan, though, as I'm not going to reveal all my notes and run down the game like top to bottom here. We'll do that with the instant analysis. So remember, after the game, you want the Penn State side, be right here for the Penn State analysis post-game. If you want the Michigan, go to the Michigan channel. So we'll do that. But did you see that play call on 3rd and 10 Michigan ran? They had a 3rd and 10, and they gave it to J.J. McCarthy, and they had a full house, and then they had a traditional tight end, an H-back, so they had double tight ends to the right. They run J.J. McCarthy on the sweep on 3rd and 10. Yeah, that was a great play. That was a great play by the Wolverines on that one. Chop Robinson back in the lineup for Penn State. That's been key. Carson Barnhart has had a rough first half at right tackle for Michigan, so they've had to do some different things with him. If you noticed, first couple series, Michigan basically running their offense. Then they started to get the ball out of J.J. McCarthy's hands a little bit quicker, especially that play to 82 that got them close to the goal line. That was a really nice play where they just whipped it out of J.J. McCarthy's hands to outlet that play. Dr. Detroit wants some downfield throws out of J.J. McCarthy. And that was, the pressure on either quarterback has not been like crazy, extensive, just suffocating, but it's been enough to keep them uncomfortable. Saw Michigan the first few series bringing like an extra rusher. And again, it wasn't like they were throwing Drew Aller all over the field, but they rushed his throws. They rushed his throws the first few series. And then Penn State, really the difference in this game, Michigan executed inside the 5 and 10 yard line on their Blake Corum touchdown. And Penn State, the first time they drove it down there, they should have been able to score a touchdown, got the ball inside the 5. Anytime you get the ball inside the 5 yard line in a big game like this, you need to score a touchdown. I don't fault James Franklin for going for the field goal because that was the play to make at that point. They're at the 3 or 4 yard line. Too risky to try to slam it into the end zone on a 4th and goal. But that's been the difference in the game. Michigan's got 2 nice drives. Penn State's got 2 nice drives. But Penn State got turned away. Go Blue is telling us that Penn State got away with a big hold. Don't know where that was. I don't know if you're talking about offensive line hold or are you talking about in the secondary? Yes, Donovan Edwards showing up. 2 huge runs in this game. Roger Dodger has spotted Harbaugh on the Penn State sideline. Yes, I don't know if you were with us when we opened up, Lewis Lee. I said the same exact thing. Chasing points in the first half, and they didn't even have a good play call. It wasn't like they were doing something that was something that really looked like they worked on. It just looked like a normal play call. Aller and 1 receiver. Aller and 1 receiver. That's all they had. And so the receiver was covered up. Aller had nothing. He tried to fit it in there. Yes, welcome to the college football season, Donovan Edwards. Makes his long-awaited appearance. Kyle, thanks for being here. Go Blue says they went for 2 just to go for 2. Well, I hope not. James Franklin is making way too much money just to be going for 2 just for the hell of it. Making way too much money just to be throwing away points. And that's exactly what they were doing there. Oh, man. Exactly. Kenneth Grant on the play by Katron Allen. Nice run by Allen. He juked a DB in the hole, left him on the grass, kept going. But Kenneth Grant, man, the big lumbering defensive tackle chasing down a running back, a Penn State running back. That was really a good play. You are right about that. John's here. Maybe the 340-pound man thought the running back was a cheeseburger. That is a possibility. Aaron tells us that Kenneth Grant is underrated. He's different. Well, I got to tell you, he is different. Yeah. Good burst by him. Good burst by the guy. Absolutely. And a good hustle to not give up on the play. All Trust says the Big Ten is a snooze fest. All right. Very good. Guessing we got a Pac-12 fan there. Another 3-star that has turned out for Michigan. They've done a great job. High 3-star, usually. High 3 stars by Jim Harbaugh and his staff, turning them into really good players in the Big Ten. Chris says the Michigan right tackle is trash. Yeah, we talked about that. Carson Barnhart having his problems. They've actually had to adjust their play calling based on him getting whipped time after time after time. JT should have a good day against him. Jason says, I've been told that Michigan will have a court date Friday against the Big Ten to be interesting what the Big Ten brings in as evidence. Well, the Big Ten, if they are continuing to rely on the NCAA to bring that evidence to them, that is what is reported has been the bulk or the entirety of their case to date has been everything that the NCAA has brought and not their own investigation. Biggs, good to see you here. We need a Marvin Harrison on our team. Need that unstoppable player. Not too many of those guys around, but they are around, and you're Michigan, so you should be able to get one. Bilal says, I think had it not been for a bunch of Penn State missed tackles, Michigan would have been shut out in the first half. Well, you're going to have missed tackles in the open field. You just are. These guys are too good. They're too fast. They're too elusive to tackle in the open field consistently. Those were well-blocked plays that Donovan Edwards took off on. And those were really the two big plays of the first half. Of course, Michigan, not that A.J. Barner's had a big first half, but he could prove key in the second half. He's been a guy that's been emerging, the Indiana transfer, to supplement Colston Loveland, who's had a couple catches on the day. Let's check out, if we look at the first half stats, we've got J.J. McCarthy at 7 for 8 on the day, 60 yards. And again, as you guys have mentioned, nothing downfield. Longest play, Samaj Morgan hit a 19-yarder. That was the quick little pop to the right side with blockers in front. So JJ doing his job, but nothing spectacular. Blake Corum's been running well. He had the big 44-yarder, of course, down the right or the left sideline. So there's been the three explosive run plays. Blake Corum one time. Otherwise, 8 carries for 20 yards. Now, you can't take out the 44-yarder, but I do think it's reasonable to look at what else a runner has been able to do outside of his one big run. And for Blake Corum, it's only 8 for 20. So the Penn State defense has been doing rather well. They've faced Corum and Edwards for 14 running plays. They've had 3 bad running plays on defense. So Michigan has hit 3 plays. The other 11 have been stopped, but that's enough. That's enough to create points, 14 points in the first half. You're not going to, against this good of a defense, you're not going to hit for 6, 8, 12, 6, 5, 9, over and over and over and over. You're not going to create that kind of room against this good of a defense, but you hit for the big plays in the running game. I think that's even more, it could be argued, more impactful than to just grind it out. 3 big plays for the Michigan running game, 11 stops generally, but the result is Corum and Edwards, 14 carries for 107 yards. That's big, big production. Cornelius Johnson, 2 catches for 24. Samaj Morgan had that big 19-yarder. He got thrown for a 2-yard loss. A.J. Barner had the first catch of the game for Michigan. Didn't result in anything as they had to punt right after that. But he had a 12-yard catch for a first down. And Colston Loveland yet to be really in the game. Like Rod Farva was telling us, Kenneth Grant's had a big first half for a defensive tackle. They have 4 solo tackles. That's big. They've had a couple tackles for loss. Rod Moore had a big play. Rayshon Benny had a big play that would have been a big play, but Penn State still converted right after that. The Penn State defense, Denai Dennis Sutton had a couple big plays early. Looked like he was just going to be the stud of the game. but he's been silenced recently. Kevin Winston has 7 tackles, and the Penn State defense has 4 tackles for loss. Drew Aller hasn't looked great, but again, he's been hurried, he's been rushed. He's been more effective on the ground, running 5 times for 28 yards. And does that include a sack? No sacks for Michigan. So it's 5 for 28 for Aller and 3 for 7 passing. And okay, it was Katron Allen that made that wide receiver pass of sorts back to Aller. Katron Allen had the big 34-yard run. So we talked about Corum and Edwards getting stopped on 11 of 14 plays. It's even more so with Allen and Singleton. They've really hit for one play. All right, second half underway. Penn State's got the football down by 5. Great to see everyone. Join us right after the game for the Penn State analysis right here. And for the Michigan analysis over on the Michigan channel. Appreciate y'all being here. Enjoy the second half and keep it locked in here. We'll see you in a couple hours.